Hello, Thundersmith here, welcome to the Gaming Nexus. Today I'm showing old game called Warzone 2100. It's, as you can see, a RTS game, where you earn, as in most old RTS games, build your base, produce your units, and you need to destroy your enemies. Unluckily, in comparison to Supreme Commander that I showcased earlier on my channel, here you have no commander, so your building vehicles are actually the most important vehicles in your fleet, and they can ensure your survival in some cases, especially if you manage to hide one or two somewhere on the map. Here in this game you have only one kind of resource, and it's cash. You can see my actual cash right in the middle of the screen on the bottom. It's the yellow bar and the number on the left side of it. Sorry. And you produce energy by burning oil. To burn oil you actually need oil derricks. I already have 4. And a gas gun generator, and I'm building one gas generator right now. For each 4 oil derricks you need one oil generator, because it can't handle any more oil derricks. If you don't have enough generators to handle all the oil derricks, they will not work, so it's not worth building them if you don't have space to handle them, well, unless of course you want to build additional generators later on, then that's fine. The beginning is always very intensive because I need to research walls before enemies will be able to rush me, because otherwise I will not be able to defend myself properly. So it's very important to build first laboratory as soon as possible. You need to have your central hub, like HQ, built to be able to actually create new units. Well, maybe not build new units, but like design new units. Because this game is unique in such a way that you actually can design your own units, of course from predefined parts, but anyway, that's quite interesting from my point of view, and I personally would like to see more RTS games with such a system, but it seems the design your own unit system died together with old RTSs and with modern 3D graphics that's like super precise and super beautiful, and for that you can't simply swap parts of assets between them and still get units that look good. I guess so. I'm not technical in the 3D graphics or anything. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Who knows? We would need to ask someone more knowledgeable than me. Oh, maybe you know, maybe you're the specialist from the game industry and you know something about the modern graphics and creating modern RTS units, and why can't they be designed by the players from predefined parts. That's something I would like to know, why that's not possible in the modern RTS games. Because that was fun, at least for me. Not everyone likes games I like, as views on my channel represents.
Major research completed.
So, anyway, right now I was researching a new, expanded building module. So this is the damper on the building unit. It's funny that the building, let's say turret,
Completed.
is just shaped like a dumper bed. I find it funny. So yeah, I needed to research the better building module to be able to research new buildings. And in this example, in this case, I need to research my walls
Completed.
because I want to block the entry with the wall right now as soon as possible. This will protect my base from being overrun. Because you see, as in many games, here you can also repair the buildings that are being attacked, and walls actually causes enemy
Completed.
projectiles to be stopped, so they like sink the damage into themselves. And if you can like set two builders behind the wall, it's almost impossible to get through the wall because you're repairing it faster than it's being damaged, especially when you force enemy
Completed.
to use this tiny little bridge, so they can't use all their units to actually attack your wall, and they are getting stuck against the wall, and so on and so on. And also they can like bypass the wall on the side and shoot your builders just because there is no space for that. So that's what I am wanting to build my walls. Of course, in the meantime, I am producing my first combat unit, and those are wheeled, light body, machine gun, something like cars with machine guns. That's what I'm producing. That's the first combat unit you actually can have. And if you want to be a bit more defensive, you can actually build a heavy machine gun turret behind your walls to protect them from the enemy at the beginning. Later on, I'll be researching cannons and the cannons emplacement. So those are walls with cannons mounted on top of them. They are very useful for base defense. I like to use them. And as soon as I'll research some, I'll be exchanging walls for the emplacements. Well, not all the walls, only two parts of the wall, because other two will be needed for passing through later on, because I want to move my units out of my base.
Major research completed.
So I'm preparing for handling more Oldtimer. So I'm building more generators. I need at least 3 because in my base right here I have 4 Oldtimer. Around my base on the neighboring tiles I can get 3 more, and I would like to capture at least 1 enemy spawn point early on, just for the sake of gathering more energy early on. So I'll be trying to rush 1 enemy early on and capture his spawn point, securing myself additional 4 energy points and maybe some additional energy points on the tiles nearby, because it would be perfect if I can just wall off my part of the map and research technologies without being bothered by the enemy. So yeah, what you can see also right now on the screen is my buildings are not building because I haven't paid for them yet. I have my cash at minus and I need to gather the cash before I can actually build the building. So right now the factory started building. You can see the yellow bar, it's filling up because I managed to pay for the cost of building it. but the generator I'm trying to build was just paid because it started building right a moment before. And probably I won't be able to pay for further construction quickly. As you can see, building a placement could send me into a minus again. I don't want that. I need to wait a bit because I can't be building a placement without actually paying them off early on and starting my building process right away. I don't want them to be vulnerable for the enemy attack and not get their health during the payment process. So that's important. If you want to build something quick, be sure you have cash on hand. If you can wait, then you can get into the minus and just wait for the cash to be generated. That's as simple as that. What I'm doing right now is I'm building expansion with one of my generators because I researched it. Some buildings, well, most buildings have expansions. So research facilities have expansions, factories have expansions, generators have expansions. What expansions give? They increase functionality of the building. In case of the factory, expansions allow you to produce more complicated units, so from the higher level tier. For the research, it increases research speed and unlocks higher level of research. You only need to build expansion once, in comparison to Supreme Commander, where you have to expand 2 times, because you have to build factories tier 2 and then upgrade them to tier 3. Well, factories require 2 tiers of upgrades, so that's similar, but you don't have 2 tiers or, well, 3 tiers of research. There is pretty crazy research tree, but it doesn't require you to actually like build more than 2 tiers of your research facilities.
Construction completed.
Also, expansions allow you to increase productivity of the buildings by research. As you will see later on, I will be building a lot, researching a lot of upgrades for my power generator expansions, only because I'd like them to produce more power. I need as much power cache as possible, because this helps me pay for everything right away and don't wait for the payment process to complete before producing. Oh, here we have first attack. So enemy sent a bot against us. Luckily, my hard points, my placements are already up and ready, so we will be shooting at each other for quite some time. Why that? Because you see, at the beginning, right after you discover the weapon, most weapons are tragically inaccurate, and you need to actually research the same weapon multiple times to increase its speed of fire and speed of the reload, and how hard it hits and how well it hits. So for each weapon you discover, there are 3 types of research. So you can research how well it hits, so like how precise is this. You can research how hard it hits, and you can research how fast it shoots, so how quickly it reloads. There are some weapons that have like very short reload time, and they're shooting in a series, like machine guns. I don't even know if they have reload time or they are just shooting continuously. I would need to look into that, but I think they have like 1 reload, and then during shooting they using up their ammo slowly until they use all of their ammo, and then they need to quickly reload. But that's machine guns. We all know how they work, so it's mostly shown in the game the same way. Okay, so it's time for my first attack, let's say, because I want to discover some map, a little bit of map, and I want to secure my base. I will need to cover 2 entrances into my territory to be able to actually safely claim additional free power sources. So let's prepare for that. I need one of my... oh my god. Do you see this attack? I'm glad I built both hardpoints right now. Okay, so I'm taking one of my builder units and I'm sending it to my machine gun cars because I want to wall off this part of the map also. So let's do that. In the meantime, I'm watching if my wall is standing and how it's handling the attack. It seems it's pretty nice, it's pretty safe. So yeah, here we have my builder. I need my placements. And I need a wall here. This will allow me to not worry about enemies entering my territory through this bridge, because the hardpoints should hold them effectively. By mistake, I've built here machine gun towers. I don't want machine gun towers here. I want radars here. They increase field of view, so they uncover the fog of war. And you should use raiders, especially for long-range weapons like mortars or later on rocket artillery. It has like really crazy range, but you need to use raiders to actually use them properly. Anyway, we will not be seeing rocket artillery in this playthrough because I wanted to finish the game as quickly as possible, so I won't be discovering all technologies. If you seem interested in the game and you want to see the final technologies, so like the crazy tanks on the end of the tech tree, let me know in the comments. Maybe in the next episode, well, maybe next time, next Saturday, I'll record second episode if you're interested and show you the final technologies. This episode would be a little bit longer than normal because discovering all technologies in the game takes about 2 hours. And then after you discover all the technologies, you still need to actually defeat your enemies, so that's quite a bit time consuming. But if you're interested, I can for sure deliver you such a video. Or maybe even if you're not interested in the full playthrough, I can just skip the beginning technologies, the little tanks, and just start from the mid or even late game with the more crazy technologies, more crazy units, and showcase some unique mechanics available in Warzone 2100. So who knows? Let me know. Yeah. Okay, so I secured probably my part of the map. So I'll be shortly ready to actually claim my power fields and expand my power production by another 3 pieces. So yeah, I can probably grab... can I? Not yet.
Production completed. Major research completed.
Yeah, I waited for it to build everything it needed. So I'll grab another constructor and I'll build the older rigs and I'll send it here to actually guard the wall. In case of any attack, it will repair the wall, so the wall will hold really long, so I can easily approach with units and actually then abandon the wall for the units to be able to get through and defeat the enemy. Or maybe just the hard points will do that. The game changed quite a bit from what I remember. It seems impossible in game as such low, let's say, low precision graphic, but it seems from my perspective that the game graphics actually is becoming a little bit better, because you see, it's actually an open source project, I think, and you can download the Warzone 2100 from its page for free, so you can also play the game without even paying for it. And I think that's one of the most amazing games, especially if you like RTSs, especially if you like slower RTSs like old-time RTSs. I think that's one of the best strategy games I ever came to know, because it's so unique. It's, even if it's old-time graphics, I still think it's beautiful, and like, wow, I'm still under so immersed influence of this game. Like, it's amazing. It's even hard to form into words what I'm feeling about the game. For me, it's like getting back into the old times, into the times where games were not about only cash they can generate, but actually gameplay, actually something more. So be sure to check out the Warzone 2100. Maybe you will feel the same.
Construction completed.
Right now I'm waiting for my factories, because I want to produce some medium tanks. Well, I call them medium tanks. The game calls them Cobra, so medium body, tracked because of tracks, medium cannon. Yeah. So I call them medium tanks. In my nomenclature, I often design light tanks, so light body, tracks, and light cannon. Medium tanks, so medium body, tracks, and medium cannon. And heavy tanks, so heavy body, trucks and
Major
heavy
research
cannon.
completed. Construction completed.
And that's my 3 main units to actually win the game. You can actually go into many different trees because there are mortars, there are howitzers, there are rockets, there are cannons, there are lasers, there are flamethrowers. So depending from your playstyle, you can decide to choose many different weapons and concentrate around them. I personally concentrate around cannons. I find them best suited for my gameplay because I play more turtle-like, so I like for my territory to be safe and to have really strong units, really heavy hitting units, and cannons do exactly that. Well, you see, each part of the unit you choose adds something to the unit. Each one adds costs, so you have to decide if it's worth to add heavier part and higher cost, or do you want to have cheap units and add them a little bit weaker parts that not actually cost so much. So that's one thing to take into account. Different parts also add different possibilities to the units, different characteristics. For example, the hovercraft, travel system, is the fastest one in the game. So if you want to have fast units, you should use hovercraft as base transportation mode, but be aware that it's also the weakest one and the one that is that slows very quickly with the weight of other modules of the unit. So if you add a very heavy body onto the hovercraft, then it will still be slow. Well, faster than trucks, but slow nonetheless. So yeah. Why trucks? Trucks tend to be slower than other transportation modes, but they add higher health and higher resistances to the unit. And they're one of the most resilient transportation modes for heavy vehicles. So I know that I'll be setting my vehicles to be very heavy body, very heavy cannons. So I need mode of transportation that will not be slowed considerably when I add all this weight. And the trucks are perfect for this solution. So I'm selecting trucks to add a lot of health to my unit and to actually carry heavy stuff easily. Then I'm adding medium or heavy body. Medium or heavy body, just to add more health and more durability and more resilience to my unit. And why cannons? I told you about my playstyle and so on, and now I am telling you about the numbers. The cannons are one of the most health efficient turrets you can add onto your tanks, onto your vehicles. They tend to be heavy and bulky, but they tend to give your units a lot of health. So, like creating unit with trucks, with heavy body, and with heavy cannon tends to create unit that can take a lot of punishment, like a lot of punishment. And that's why I call them tanks, because they are tanking for me. They taking on their share of the damage and don't die easily. So that's nice. And you can use that tactics too. Or maybe you're a fan of the rockets or some other things, maybe flamethrowers or something. If you're playing flamethrowers, be sure to quickly discover hovercraft vehicles and hovercraft all your flamethrowers, because you see, flamethrowers have very short range and they're not especially efficient. So like, it's better to have a lot of them than just a few and being heavily armored. That's also why I am choosing cannons, because I don't like to create like hundreds and hundreds of units just because they are weak. I'd rather have 10 tanks that can enter the enemy base and do the cleaning, rather than have like 40 flamethrowers that can't do nothing. Well, I actually never ever tried heavily flamethrower concentrated playthrough. Maybe it's worth checking. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I would need to try. Maybe that's a challenge you would like me to approach, to actually do playthrough concentrated around flamethrowers, or maybe around bots rather than vehicles. I'm way more comfortable with vehicles. I know them, I know how they work, and I know how to properly modify them to actually be hard hitting and very hard to kill. I don't have same knowledge with the bots, so that definitely would be a challenge for me to play bots playthrough rather than vehicle playthrough. I'm not even sure if that's possible to actually win the game playing bots only, because enemy vehicles will be like super resilient against your bots. Maybe it's not even possible to win. Okay, and I just lost a unit, but luckily it was machine gun car, nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, let's be sure to show the blue enemy that I have something more than just a car with machine gun. Because my tanks are coming and they're really nearby. As you can see, I'm trying to always research in all my 5 labs something. This increases actually amount of things I can discover in short time, because this is parallel processing. And I'm always trying to add more engine power to my units. I am always trying to add more power production to my buildings, and I also try to always increase fire resilience and armor of my units. This causes them to be really hard to kill. And here we have blue enemy. We see that my tanks definitely handled themselves and showed the blue enemy who rules. We don't need to worry about them for now. So yeah, another bot. this should go quickly. Oh, so here's blue and light green enemy. They're no match for my tanks right now. When you're using cannons, that's something I found out painfully. When you're using cannons, be sure to leave a lot of space around your own units and try not to allow enemy units to close onto your tanks, because your cannons have AOI, area of effect, AOE attack, because those are explosive shells. And, well, they tend to hit harder than your enemies, so if you don't want for your tanks to die easily, keep your distance from the enemy and try not to approach your enemy too quickly, because your cannons are best on the middle to long range rather than close quarters, because then you're hitting your own units with their own AOE, and that's nothing fun. I don't think you should do that. So definitely take this into account when playing cannon builds, that you don't want your units to be too close to each other. Later on, if you explore a lot of cannon tree far enough, then you can actually switch from cannons to mass drivers. And mass drivers are better. They are just better. Why? You see, because cannons have AOE. If they don't hit, they tend to explode and deal some damage anyway. But they're not very precise, and they tend to deal a lot of friendly fire damage, especially if you have your units tightly packed and you don't take into account that you need for your tanks to not be so close to each other. But mass drivers don't have the same issue. You see, mass drivers are very precise, so they tend to never miss, and instead of being explosive, they are piercing. So they tend to deal a lot of damage to a single target and pass through it and kill another unit standing behind the one unit they actually aimed for. So this can be very helpful, especially against enemies that are, again, tightly packed and packed into the line. So Gauss, Gauss cannons, mass drivers, they are perfect for defending the bridges, because then on the bridges they tend to create the lines of enemies, and the mass driver can actually fully utilize its potential to pierce enemies and kill multiple enemies in single line. So yeah, that's definitely something worth knowing. So yeah, I conquered the spawn point of one of my enemies. I will secure it, and I'll be going further to conquer more enemies. Unluckily, unlike in Supreme Commander, where you tend to kill only the commander and then everything's just fine, you win. Here you actually need to destroy all units and all buildings, as it tends to be in old games. So, to actually do that, I would need to play for far longer than I would like to, especially for this game through. So once I conquer all the enemy spawn points, I will not be looking for stragglers and for like single units being somewhere on the map. That's not for today. Let's say I won only after I captured all my enemy spawn points. If I have all the spawn points under my control, I won without searching for the all stragglers and single units everywhere on the map. I could do that, but why bother? I would just need to build a lot of radars and like spam the map with them. So is it really worth it? I don't think so. I think it's only wasting yours and my time. So not really. Okay, so right now I'm designing my heavy tank. I'm a little bit confused because I'm missing my medium tank. Here it is. So here's the medium tank and here's the heavy tank. So yeah, because you see, the game tends to consider some technologies outdated at some point, and once the technology is outdated by default, you have outdated technology disabled, so it's hidden just for your convenience, for you to not use the outdated technology. It may be helpful, it may be harmful, because you see, maybe I don't want to build 10 heavy tanks because they're, for example, too expensive. Maybe I'm fine with 10 medium tanks. Maybe I don't want 10 of them, or 10 of heavier units. Yeah, the cheaper unit tends to die faster. Of course, they do. But if you're short on cash and you need some units quickly, maybe that's the solution for you. So be sure to check the outdated technology if you're struggling with money. If you're not struggling with cash, then what's the problem? Build the most powerful units in your arsenal. Don't even consider weaker units, because what's for? Okay, so blabbing for such a long time can be a little bit tiring for my throat, so I'll let you watch the game for a moment without my commentary right now, just for my throat to get a few minutes of rest, and I'll be back with you shortly, let's say in 5 minutes.
Production completed. Power resource. Production completed. Production completed. Construction completed. Production completed. Research completed. Production completed. Production completed. Production completed. Construction completed. Construction completed. Construction completed. Major research completed. Construction completed. Construction completed. Construction completed. Major research completed. Research completed. Construction completed. Power resource. Major research completed. Research completed. Power resource. Research completed. Major research completed. Power resource. Power resource. Major research completed. Artifact detected. Artifact detected.
So I just conquered the second enemy base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to go. Those little rectangles with green lights on them are called artifacts. They are left on the ground when you destroy enemy factory, and they include some technology from the enemy that they discovered. It doesn't mean that you don't have this technology already. That's important. So yeah, basically if you're researching very fast and you're way ahead of your enemies, collecting artifacts after destroying enemy base is basically pointless because they don't give you actually any useful technology, and they're just not worth the time. So I tend to skip collecting them because in most cases they don't actually increase my technology level at all, because mostly they about the technology I already had. So yeah. So again, plan here is simple. I need to protect the base from the enemies, and once I build hardpoints, then I'll build repair station, because some of my medium tanks are a little bit damaged, and I don't want them to be too heavily damaged, so I intend on to repairing them, and only after they'll get their repairs I want to send them further on. In the meantime, a second portion of my tanks is approaching enemy in the south.
Unit under
I should be there with my heavy tanks shortly. So here they are, here are my heavy tanks. They're killing some minor enemy resistance on their way.
completed. Major research.
So yeah, that should allow me to quickly finish another enemy. But for now I need to wait for my medium tanks to be repaired.
Research.
Otherwise they may get too heavily damaged next time they encounter enemy, and that would be sad. Even though they can take quite a punishment,
Unit under attack.
they're not invincible.
Power resource.
So yeah.
Attack.
Same here with the machine guns. I'm pulling them back because I don't want them to be lost in combat. It's not worth it. I could send them to be recycled into energy. Yes, you can recycle your own units if you don't really need them anymore.
Major research completed.
So yeah, that could actually help if you're struggling with cash and you have some old units that you don't need anymore. Then you can easily recycle them and use their energy to craft something bigger, something stronger. But it's not always possible. So all my tanks are fighting with something. Some minor enemy resistance. With so many tanks, there's nothing they fear. Well, later on, if I would play up until the last technologies, it could be a little bit harder to actually finish off enemy bases because they tend to produce a lot of bots, and it tends to be very hard to kill the bots with the cannons. So yeah. To tell the truth, I never rushed so hard to kill the enemies. I mostly played up until the late game and only killed my enemies after that. So in most cases, I tend to play this game for about 2.5 hours before I finish single playthrough. But this time, because I wanted to show you the game, I speeded things up and I'm rushing enemies. So actually here this enemy was killed by someone else. So that's good. That means I need to leave one tank behind to protect the resources, because you see how it works. Enemies tend to concentrate around power sources, and often they like to run away with one of their builders and wait for a bit before they return to their original spawn in hopes of reclaiming their old power production. So I tend to leave one tank behind just to guard the resources. Otherwise, at some point, it may just happen that the enemy builder will just come around and rebuild the enemy base, and I don't want that. So that's important. I don't want that. That's why I'll be leaving tanks behind. Single tank for each resource nodes. Well, section of resource nodes. One tank can definitely protect single spawn point, especially heavy tank. Well, of course, you can easily defeat the tank with heavier forces, but nonetheless, you'll probably take some casualties, and I will know that you intend to take those resources so I can react properly. And that actually shows me your position, so not really worth the trouble. Unluckily, AI is not great with its thinking power, so it tends to make a lot of mistakes, like stupid mistakes. So yeah, it tends to return to its spawn point to try to reclaim it with builder only. Sometimes the AI builds its base right next to its spawn point, well, in hopes of reclaiming spawn point, so it's always worth checking nearby. But as I decided earlier on, this time I'm only conquering the spawn points without wasting time on looking for stragglers and some single buildings, single units that just stay on the map just to stay on the map. So yeah, that's definitely that. So here we have another enemy base, so let's destroy it. So again, one tank leaves behind, and the rest is going to attack another enemy. So we have 1, 2, 3 more bases to go. And here's another army, so let's send them here. Yes, you can send the units from the minimap, so you can easily be in your base and send your units to the concrete place on the map. That's very useful, especially in this map, where there's a lot of little like fields, let's say, that are connected only by the bridges. So yeah, I'm building some defenses to protect the resources from the enemy builders, and not only from the enemy forces also. So as you can see, my base is quite nice, I think. My medium tanks are ready, so let's send them to the next enemy. And yes, we're closing on to last 3 enemies, so from the south east corner of the map I sent army to conquer east enemy base. From the southwest part of the map, I sent my units to approach northwest enemy, and from my base, so northwest, sorry, I sent my units to conquer the north enemy. So yeah, it should be over shortly.
Construction completed.
Knowing from the length of the video I made,
Major
it's
research.
only about 8 minutes from now. So yeah, I'm building more energy production because why not? I can, so I do.
Recovered. Artifact.
It's not really necessary at this point. I will not be discovering any more technologies that, oh, maybe this will help. This technology is actually auto repair. It allows my unit to automatically repair themselves when they are not in combat.
Unit under
Very helpful with the very slow, very tough tanks. They can easily just repair themselves
under attack.
just by traveling from one destination to another because they are so slow. So auto repair is very helpful for them, especially with conjunction with their very slow movement speed. So it seems some of my tanks are already at their destination, so let's check out the enemy base. We can see there are some enemy units. Let's hope it's not too strongly defended yet, because otherwise I may lose my tanks. I hope it's as it was before, so only few bots, few tanks or few cars, nothing too important. And it seems that's exactly the case, only few units. So let's introduce more cannons. They should easily take care of that. So let's let them destroy the enemy.
Power resource. Major research completed. Research completed. Artifact detected. Artifact detected. Artifact recovered. Unit under attack. Power resource. Power resource. Power resource. Major research completed. Power resource. Artifact. Unit under attack.
And another enemy spawn point under my control. So yeah, that's another step towards my victory. Only two enemies left, so the north one and the northeast one. So we're coming up
Completed.
to the terms with the enemies quickly.
Power resource.
Let's see. Let's see how they defend themselves. Oh, buildings? There should be no building. Oh my gosh, that's the wrong place. Okay, so I messed up. I sent my armies to the wrong point of the map. So I'll need to send them onto the onto the
Major
part
research completed.
here with the buildings, so I can send them left from there. And let's check another enemy. They should be easy to kill. And here we also can start attacking. No, it's wrong part of the map. Yeah, let's start attacking enemies. So yeah, here we have pink enemy. Let's destroy him. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but if your headquarters get destroyed, you lose minimap. That's interesting,
Power resource.
for sure. So it's worth to keep your headquarters. Also, I mentioned about that in the beginning, but
Under attack.
I'll mention it again. If you don't have headquarters, you can't design units. Something important. So yeah, having headquarters somewhere is important. Keep it in mind and don't get them be destroyed. God, don't let them get destroyed. Sorry for the grammar. Sometimes I just mess up. It seems today my day is a little bit worse than normal. Let's hope I get better and will not make as many mistakes during next recording.
Unit under attack.
So sorry for the grammar and a little bit
Power resource. Unit
hard language.
artifact.
I'm hoping I'm understandable anyway.
Artifact. Detected artifact.
Okay, so it seems last two enemies are up to their end. It seems there's actually nothing more left of them to fight against. So that's Warzone 2100. I hope you liked it. Be sure to subscribe, like,
Artifact.
follow, whatever. I don't know how that works. So I'm glad if you're still here with me. I'm glad you survived my video. I hope you liked it. Let me know that you achieved it. And see you in the next episode. Bye.